Okay, I'm not sure if I'm going to use any of this video, but I'm going to go and record just in case. Simple straight drive, heading to McAllen. Should be no issues. I've never actually driven to McAllen from this direction, so that will make it a little interesting for me. This is on a back highway. I've had no issues with my car recognizing speed limit signs on interstates. But on a lot of these back highways, it doesn't want to recognize the speed limit signs for any of the signs over 60 miles per hour. I mean, we'll see the 60 miles per hour, but 65 and greater, it doesn't want to see them. Which I find interesting. However, in the 2 weeks, on the number of times I've driven on highways that it has not seen the faster speed limit signs, not visualizing it or anything, I have had it a total of 3 times recognize the speed limit sign. But it's so rare. And I do mean, like, one of the routes is between the island and the Brownsville airport. I do that route 3 or 4 times a day, both directions. It just seems to refuse to recognize any of these 65 or greater speed limit signs. Now it's doing a 39 in a 35. I do have the automatic set. I do like that, but I wish if we could just hit the scroll button to say, hey, we want you to go slower, it will do that, instead of having to disengage it. Now, yeah, it is going down a little bit slower, very slowly. That could be a coincidence. But I got through driving from the island all the way up to San Antonio, and to San Antonio up to Bell County, which is kind of north of Austin towards Dallas, and then back to San Antonio. And I've had almost 0 interventions. I have a very long video on that one already. That's currently uploading. It's been uploading for quite a while now. It's a 3.5 hour video. I don't think anybody's going to watch the full 3.5 hours, but I kept all the good and bad in there, including the times when it would want to jump into a left-hand only turn lane for some bizarre reason. It's an interesting intersection. I think that guy does have a yield, but that is a very odd intersection there. With the traffic passing across like that. And I was talking to somebody, and, you know, I would say I don't know, I'm close to 95 to 98% comfortable, to the point where I would say, yeah, if it was approved right now, I may take a nap while it drives. Every issue I had is basically stupid navigation issues. I really haven't had anything that I believe was a dangerous issue. Even when it jumped into left-hand turn only lane, I'm pretty sure if I let it, it would have got out by itself. And what I did on all of those was just hit the turn signal to get it to move back to the right-hand lane. Even with the one road rage driver I had earlier, who was riding my tail in 70 mile per hour traffic, flicking the bird at me, and then passed me on the shoulder on the left-hand side and then tried cutting over in my lane before he got past me, the car handled it. It kind of moved over and everything as he was doing it. The car stayed calm, didn't react to his road rage, and with him flicking the bird and all that stuff. But even further down the road, he was doing that to other drivers too. So if it's someone who just hates Teslas, I don't know for sure. Okay, this is showing a 35 mile per hour speed limit that recognized, but it's choosing to do 52. It appears to be what the other traffic is doing. Since we turned on this road, I haven't seen a speed limit sign. And I'm pretty sure it does do visual recognition, not OCR, but we are coming up to a 55 sign here, so it's pretty close. So maybe it knows this was supposed to be a 45, but as we're coming to this 55 sign, it should show up here on the visualization. There it is. It sees it and it adjusts. So it is adjusting it. Got a deer on the side of the road. Poor thing. I have been driving since I was 15 years old. This car alone, I put 200,000 miles on it in 2 years. I drive a lot. Even before I bought the Tesla, when I was doing IT work, I was driving everywhere to the point where I was spending $1,500 a month in gasoline alone. I have never hit an animal in my entire life. Be it a dog, cat, deer. I've been on a lot of country roads. I've seen a few deer. So I have been very fortunate not to do that. You hear the whining of the motors. I just got through supercharging. That's why their system is cooling after the supercharger. Between Alice and McAllen, this is the only supercharger. It's only 112 miles. There's a supercharger in McAllen, so it shouldn't be an issue. There's nice cornfields out here. And also, between this area, the Kingsville and the Brownsville area, there's technically no interstates. There get to be interstates closer to there, but most of it turns into a highway, which is similar to an interstate, but they have towns and sometimes stoplights on them, and the speeds can drop down to 30 miles per hour. Where I am seeing it not recognizing the speed limits are on these highways. Now, for instance, it knows we're doing 75, so this is not going to be a good test here now. Here's a 75 sign. It did not show that on the visualization, I don't think. I'll have to go back and look. But it's already set the max to 85. If I turn that off and set my 4%, it will adjust to that. But since it's auto max, it adjusts to what it feels is comfortable. We got a car coming to the left side here. While this truck is not completely off the road, so it's being cautious going around it. I do have this set to assertive mode. I don't have the minimal lane keeping off. And as I mentioned in my other video, I've noticed that there is no option to get out of passing lane anymore under the menu. So at some time they remove that from the menu. actually going to decrease the speed because I want to increase my range. 85 would just, it'll get us there quicker, but you'll use a lot more energy. So I want to try to bump up my efficiency by decreasing the range, the speed a little bit. But yeah, I've noticed in the menu there's no place now to choose to get out of the passing lane, which was an option that was added last year sometime or the year before. And I keep getting notices every now and then that it wants to get into the left-hand lane to stay out of the rightmost lane, which I kind of understand. When you got on-ramps and exit ramps here, sometimes it's not good to be in the right-hand lane. But that little motel, it looked like nothing but two single wide trailers butted against each other with makeshift rooms. I mean, it was a motel. It looked like it only had about 8 or 9 rooms, but they did not look like a properly built or well-built motel you would think about. We are in Alice, Texas, out in the countryside of it, so yeah, they might do things differently. So, cars passing the truck here. Interesting, on the way up to Austin, or I think it was Bell County, leaving Austin, I passed a vehicle transport one like that one that had a whole bunch of Teslas on there and 2 Cybertrucks. So they're still delivering the Cybertrucks right now. They're being transported. I should have driven by the Gigafactory there in Austin, but I was kind of pushing for time. I do have Tesla insurance, and I really hate the way it dings you for driving between 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. I would head straight to the island, but I will get there after 10 p.m., so that would make my insurance go up. They ding you for every second after, and they don't care if you're on full self-driving or not. It's kind of stupid. So instead, I'm just going to go to McAllen and grab a hotel tonight, because I got to be in McAllen in the morning for somebody, so it saves me having to drive back up to McAllen from the island. I am driving alone. I have nobody else with me. The keyboard up there is for my laptop down here. I have a mouse over here. Whenever I'm parked, I got these X-Real Air glasses that I can look and see my computer monitor and work on videos and pictures when I'm parked. I'm letting the car stay in the left-hand lane right now. As you see, it's not getting over. It really should. And when I was coming back this way in the other video, I had issues of it trying to jump into these left-hand turn lanes as we're going straight. It wasn't every one of them. It was like every now and then it would do it for a couple of them. And they were well marked. And it was clear that we were supposed to be going straight. So not sure why it kind of randomly said, hey, I want to, jump over here for a second. I don't know. gray afternoon again. Overcast, and the windshields keep coming on every now and then. So it thinks it's a light mist. You can see the windshield is really covered with bed bugs. I have to really scrub it to get that off sometimes. I know there is some place that they can actually wrap your windshield with a clear wrap to protect it from rock chips and stuff, but I'm not sure how that would work with the bugs. Can you scrub those well? And will that take up, or will that hold up for the amount that I drive? Yeah, for people who don't drive a whole lot, yeah, that wrapping, to protect your windshield might be nice for the occasional rock chips, but for me, non-stop, in some of these construction zones I'm going through, like between the island and the Brownsville airport, where they're doing the refinery, the natural gas refinery there, it's like almost constantly you hear the rocks hitting windshield or what have you. And if you look at the hood of my car, I have so many paint chips from rocks. It's not funny anymore. If I want to spend the money to get it repainted and then wrapped or what have you, it may not last very long as much as I drive. I don't know. I mean, I would love to find someone, who drives a lot and tell me how that holds up. When I was at the Alice supercharger, I was hoping to see somebody else charging their Tesla and ask them if they're running full self-driving, if it's recognizing these speed limit signs on these highways or not. But oddly, I have never ran into anybody there. Very rarely have I ran into a full supercharger. Quite often when I get there, there's nobody else charging. So I've never had to experience these long wait times that people complain about. As you see, no matter what, the car doesn't seem to want to get out of the passenger. I'm going to pump it up to 75 here. I'm going to tell it to get back over there. Let's see if it ever decides it's going to move back again. SpaceX down here in Boca Chica, they've been doing a lot of work on the orbital launch mount and the tank farm and stuff, getting ready for the upcoming launch. There is no official words of when it is. Everybody is speculating May. When in May, I don't know. Right now, it's coming up. Today's April 18th, so we don't have very many weeks after this month. And the first signs I look at is the marine advisory to see if they are restricting the area for a launch. Those are posted on Wednesdays. Sometimes they post special ones, not on Wednesdays, but on Wednesdays will usually give us a clue that something is coming up within a week, sometimes 2 weeks. And then we look for flight restrictions after that. So once we see that and the flight restrictions, we start to get a better idea what's going on. The last launch, it was like SpaceX didn't get the license till like 14 hours before the launch, something like that. So no official words from SpaceX until 14 hours before launch, which doesn't give people really time to get down here unless they get a last minute flight. But SpaceX is testing. They're not. It's not for our benefit. It's not for a show. It's not like it's an air show. They don't really have to let us know what their plans are. They just have to have a good window for the launch area and the splashdown areas with good weather. It's kind of crazy that Elon has mentioned that the next launch they're going to try to land on a virtual tower in the Gulf, which means they're going to have the coordinates of where they want the tower to be and simulate it, trying to land there to see how close they can get it to that. And then the next one they're going to try to do a catch on the tower. I would like a few more virtual attempts at that. What would be kind of neat if he's not going to use them for anything else, those oil rigs that he bought a while back. Put one of those out in the Gulf, not far from, offshore here, and put a catch tower there to practice catches on that tower. That way you don't have to worry about trying to get fuel offshore to fuel the ship for the launch. But you could try to do a catch and then try to recover the booster somehow, bringing it back into port maybe. Or at least there, remove the engines and bring the engines back and then tear down the booster itself and scrap that stainless steel. That would be a viable option in the testing stage. And then once they perfect all the catches on that tower on a rig in the Gulf, then try it on land. I wouldn't try that around here. We have like a border checkpoint up here. And yeah, even though I have it on the assertive mode, and I'm telling it to go 75, it's only doing 64. It's not passing this this transport rig. So I'm gonna go ahead and tell it to pass. I don't know why it's not doing it on its own. Have minimal lane changes select or anything. 75 speed limit sign here, work zone coming up. It's on both sides. It's not visualizing them, it's not recognizing them, it's not slowing down for them. So this is what I mean, on the highways it doesn't seem to see these signs. It doesn't show up with the visualizations or anything. And I don't know if it's because I am running a 2008 Tesla Model 3 long range. It does have the supported full self-driving hardware. This road kind of it's missing its turn. I think it needed to be in that lane over there. So yeah, it missed the ramp that it was supposed to be on. Navigation issue. Let's see how this adjusts. See if it figures it out for itself. So nothing's changing on the nav yet. Now it looks like this is just a little loop. But okay. Thought about the exit, but it changed its mind. It seems to be wanting to turn around and go back, where obviously it can go straight, and this is like a bypass of the town. So it speeds all over the place, 45, 75, 45, 75. It's grabbing nav data, so it's not sure where it's at. That's really free green ways, flipping between 45 and 75. It's all over the place with the speed there. It thinks it's on the side roads. It's not. I'm not sure how new this bypass is. But yeah, it's causing a lot of conflicts here. Now, version 11, it would have been jamming on the brakes constantly here, because they would keep seeing that speed difference. So now it thinks we're on the side road. It doesn't think we're on this stretch. Some errors popping up. I'm not sure what the errors are. I can't see it, it's too quick. We have a school bus behind us, so it needs to go ahead and just keep going. It's doing a good job as far as not slowing down completely. It may go ahead and figure this out once we get there. So it's handling this problem better. Now it thinks it's at a 40. It thinks it's over here. And we've got this bypass here. It's signaling to try to get on that bypass, but there's no road to get on there, so it needs to stop signaling. Now it thinks it's at 25, and it's trying to slow down. I'm going to have to give it some gas. The school bus behind us. This is a navigation issue. So I'm giving it some gas to get it to keep going until it recognizes it's doing the right thing. Now it's getting nav data for 75, wants to do 85, so I'm slowing back down. But yeah, that is a perfect example of navigation data being wrong. And at least the car wasn't, like I said, in version 11. I think I had the same issue in that area of version 11. It would be constantly slamming on the brakes to get down to that 45, then back up again, then back down again. Kept thinking it was on the side road and not on the highway. It was really a nightmare. Usually I had to take over and turn off, disengage full self-driving completely and drive it manually until I got past that. This did a lot better until the very end there when it wanted to do 25. But as you saw in the map, it thought for some reason we're on that side road and going around. So that is a good demo. That's one reason why I'm recording this entire ride. I may wind up using this video. Got another 75 sign. It should show up here if it's seeing it, but it is not showing up. So it's still getting the 75 from the navigation data. And we have yet another 75 sign just a few feet after that one, right over here. And it's still nothing showing up on the screen. On the interstate, on I-35 and I-10, it was showing all the speed limit signs as we passed them. And if I had a semi-truck blocking one of them and it was a different speed than what the zone was currently, it would not recognize it and it would not adjust for it. So some areas it gets it from nav data, others it gets it from physical signs. It's kind of hit and miss. Really would love if Tesla's team could actually explain that to us. But with the way artificial intelligence is getting and neural networks getting, I'm afraid one day, Tesla's going to have their neural net and they're just throwing a bunch of training videos towards it. It's driving off of those training videos, and the programmers have no clue why it does what it does, because we've forgotten the program. It's sad when we forget that, and it gets to the point where we don't really know things like that. For instance, the Voyager space probes, they're programmed in Fortran. The programmers that wrote those softwares, they retired. Younger people don't know Fortran. So they're not sure how to program it. It's not something that they have been trained on, not something they've used. And that's something that NASA has to be extremely careful with, because it takes a long time to send a signal to the Voyager space probes, a long time to receive a reply. So you can't really do an update in their software remotely and have something go wrong. There's actually a dog in the road. Didn't see it on the visualization. It was off near the cones, and it was visualizing. I'm just telling the car to slow down. Here's this construction going on. bad things stick with people more than the good. Some people have told me they heard that you have to replace the battery every 50,000 miles. I have to point out to them that I'm at 227,000 miles. I have not replaced the battery yet. Still the original battery in this vehicle. Another interesting thing doing Uber and Lyft and driving so many people, very few people know how to open the door. And almost everybody I pick up, they've never been in a Tesla before. Which, you know, is wild. And I get a lot of people that say, oh, we're from Wisconsin, we don't have Teslas up there. Well, actually they do, but they don't notice them. Some states are not as EV friendly. It's like Louisiana. My house is in Louisiana. For the entire state of Louisiana, it's a fairly big state. There's only one service center in New Orleans. And I know the state's been trying to get them to shut that down. They don't want the Tesla service center there. Why? Well, Louisiana is an oil-filled state. They make their money from the oil fields. So they don't like the thought of electric vehicles taking over. Upon discussion with some people, you know, yeah, it's not just gasoline. You know, going with the EVs, it's not just the gas stations that you might damage as far as businesses go. You got the oil change places. You got the tune-up places. Do we take our Tesla to, you know, Midas or to someplace to check out muffler, you know, all the muffler shops? No, it's putting them out of business. Quick oil change places, you know. What can they do once everybody goes to an EV? Now we're coming up to the border checkpoint area. But I'm going the opposite direction, so no checkpoint for me here. I think that's where we're at. This is a different one. It's going to be just a way station. I think it's just a way station. Passing through Encino, Texas. Encino, Texas. So we have that one spot back there with a lot of weird navigation issues. Up until the start, I think it was in a 25 zone, and I had to give the accelerator, touch the accelerator. I might not have had to do that, I don't know. But with the school bus behind me, I didn't want to let the car slow down too much. If there was nobody behind me, I would have just let it go and see what would have happened. But I didn't disengage full self-driving, I just gave it a little encouragement to keep going. pure navigation issue. We're coming up to a wide load here. Looks like they have their pilot vehicle behind there with the so it should be a flashing arrow, but it doesn't look like that arrow is complete. So it's just looks like a caution bar. Just a regular caution bar. It's interesting. Not sure what that is for. See more flashing lights ahead. Looks like yellow and blue. It's hard, you know. I know the Tesla's supposed to recognize emergency vehicle lights. Sometimes it will show something up there for them. Sometimes it'll show something that there are none. Sometimes it won't even see them. And as far as the way it's recognizing it, I understand it could be difficult because different states have different light patterns, different police departments it's like in Texas you have the state police. You have the constable, you have the sheriffs, and you have the local police. And usually those lights are different on the different vehicles. Then you have the border patrol, their lights are different. Usually. Some, you know, and depending on how they turn the lights on, they can change the pattern of the lights. So it's kind of, you know, how do you have the car recognize that for every state? And when you got some that use red, blue, and green, which I've seen especially on some fire trucks. Earlier I saw fire trucks, red, blue, green, and white, and yellow. So they had like every color going there. And you know, back in the 80s and 70s, you know, you would have red lights were like the ambulances and fire trucks, and the blue lights were the police, and yellow lights were the construction vehicles and what have you. So they didn't have multiple color lights in the cars back then. But you could tell what it was just by the color of the light. And you know, I've also had other people say, why didn't this just, you know, on the visualization tell you or show you where the police cars are? Well, I mean, most of the police vehicles are a standard vehicle that's slightly modified to be a police car. They're not distinctively different vehicles. I mean, back in Opelousas, Louisiana, almost all the police cars are, I believe they were Tahoes. Which was funny. I actually had a work order once for somebody's TV, and in Louisiana, and I drive a Tahoe. I used to drive a Tahoe. I pulled up into the driveway to go work on the TV, and when I knocked on the door, the wife answered the door, and you know, she showed me where the TV was. And she was waiting for her husband to call back because she's going to have a long talk with him because he thought I was a police car pulling up in the driveway and he shot out the back door. So she wants to know what trouble he's in. It's kind of funny, but I'm actually going to tell the car to get back in the right-hand lane. It's still not moving out of the left-hand lane on its own. It's been hanging over there for quite a while. At least it hasn't been jumping into these left-hand turn-only lanes here. So that, at least for that stretch. I don't know, it could do a wrap for the next one, I don't know, but since I'm over here, it shouldn't. But, incident ahead. Okay, that wasn't a work sign, it just said incident up ahead. So a traffic accident or what have you, and see it's moving to the faster lane, but there's nothing in front of me. Both lanes are equally fast, since there's no vehicles in front of me for quite a distance. So I don't know why it was saying switching to the faster lane. Now it's changing back to follow the route. Okay. So we still got the weird lane changes for obviously navigation issues. And it could be something was stuck in the nav data that had this lane going slower for a while than the other lane. I'm curious about the temporary signs back there saying incident ahead. How far ahead? And what type of incident? I still see some blue flashing lights way up ahead of yellow flashing lights. So I'm not sure if that has anything to do with it. But I'm not getting closer to them. They're still going, so it looks like it's just probably an escort vehicle. Sliding around, a little resistance on the steering wheel here. Interstate Corridor 69. It's been saying future Interstate Corridor 69 since 2020, since I came down here. First came out that way. We're still in Encino. Encino is a pretty big area, but not much to see that I've noticed. Patrol vehicle. Even though we're about 70, 80 miles from the border. So this is where there's like a border checkpoint. I think we already passed that. Maybe not. Maybe that's further up. Okay, I just gave one little blink of the turn signal, but starting to get dark outside. Lightning strike nearby. My lightning detector is saying there's lightning in the area. Kind of glad I am going this way, otherwise I would have been driving into whatever storm is that's producing that lightning. Back over my left-hand shoulder somewhere. Got a lot more lightning popping up there. The radius is I have that set in. Damn gnats. Okay, it's probably a 30-mile radius. She's that shot 21 miles, so that's around 25, 30-mile radius. Look at the radar. Car has finally decided to pass its border patrol. So since there's a car coming up in this lane anyway, it kind of punched it a little more. And I was thinking a neat option for the Cybertruck would be to be a storm chaser. Stainless steel body, it should be able to take a little bit of a pounding. And I think the glass is stronger. So if I had a Cybertruck, I would definitely wrap the glass with a ceramic wrap to give it as much durability as possible. If I was going to use it for storm chasing. seem like the more vehicles are passing me, then it goes ahead and passes the other vehicle. Still haven't seen any signs of this so-called incident ahead. It's slowly getting a little bit darker outside. Chart here, we can see we're not doing too bad. Pretty close to the projected. It is saying staying below 70 miles would have saved me 4.2 miles this trip so far. It's also saying that the wind that is out of the east cost me 8.5 miles this trip. Well, the wind I can't do much about. Driving excessively, especially over 70 miles per hour, has cost me a total of 13.5 miles. So if I would have adjusted my driving, I could have increased my range a little better. I should have 54 miles when I get there. Look at the consumption. I've been averaging 327 watt-hours a mile. As I have mentioned in my previous video, it'd be nice if we could have some control over that and say, hey, I want to, regulate my car and say, hey, don't use more than 300 watt-hours per mile. Go ahead and do a slower acceleration. I saw some lightning off to the left. And, Tesla, one thing I would really love, if you could add weather to this map as well. Because I would love to be able to see the weather ahead and say, hey, I want to avoid that storm. Or if you were a storm chaser, it'd be nice to have that. Right now it's routing with no traffic data, meaning that it's having issues with the cell connection, which I would not blame it out here in the middle of nowhere. Even my phone, I have one little bitty bar, probably nothing of data on that. It'd be nice. There's some way to implement, once Starlink gets their cell network going on that, then you may never see this issue again, since it can work with the existing cell hardware. It should be able to communicate with it just fine. I want to add the supercharger in McAllen as a stop, since I am going to the I know I have to look at the screen to add stuff. So it's not that I'm not paying attention to the road, I'm just trying to, tap the right thing. So I'm telling to go to the McAllen supercharger so I can charge it a little bit tonight before I get to the hotel. When the car is sitting idle, it's going to use some of the battery. But if you turn off the Sentry mode, it's minimal. Last night I got to the hotel that I was going to. I had 141 miles of range. I turned off the Sentry mode and I went into the hotel, and I pulled the car a couple times just to check the status throughout the night. When I got up in the morning, I think I was at 141 miles. I'm pulling up TeslaFSD. It actually pulls the car every 30 seconds. That's a little icon that was up in the corner. Was whenever TeslaFSD is getting data from the car. We've got one little bar for the cell signal, 2 bars for the cell signal, so we're getting closer. The car is now getting data again. But yeah, this morning when I got up, I had 142.19 miles range. And when I got to the hotel last night, back to yesterday's data. When I got to the hotel last night and parked, I had, what was it? 142.72 miles of range. So yeah, I hardly lost anything at all just by turning the Sentry mode off that night. And the car went into a sleep mode, which means it doesn't do much when the Sentry mode is off. It's, the Sentry mode is going to use some of your energy because it's keeping its cameras going and watching what's going on from the cameras. It's not like it has a little motion sensor, so when someone gets close to the car, the motion sensor triggers the cameras. The camera's always watching. Catch-22. I mean, if someone damages your car, you don't have that footage because you had the Sentry mode turned off. Now, other people say if you're leaving your car for a long time, the cabin overheat protection is going to kill your battery. Well, the problem is the cabin overheat protection only works for a total of 12 hours after you've stopped. So if you're gone for 2 days or 3 days, that overheat protection is only working for that first 12 hours. And if it was at nighttime, if you got at your hotel at 6 o'clock, the next day at 6 a.m., overheat protection's off because it's been sitting there for 12 hours. I've had that happen to me, unfortunately. I parked the car and SpaceX was having a launch that day, so I didn't get in the car, didn't drive in anything. It was very hot outside, about 100 and some odd degrees. But it was past the 12 hours after I had stopped the car. So the cabin overheat was not kicking on. I had a cell phone in the car that I always left in here to use as the hotspot. It got to like 115, 120 degrees in the car. The cell phone itself, the battery just kind of exploded, destroying the phone. Because it just got so freaking hot in this car. So yeah, the cabin overheat protection, that won't stay on for a week. You would have to have driven the car a few times. And I think they mentioned that in there. I think it was under setting. Was it under setting? Yeah. Right here. The road. the documentation I, yeah, right up here. It should be. And even right here it says, up to 12 hours after you leave. So the cabin overheat protection is not going to run for an entire week. Only for the first 12 hours. I am not sure how I feel about that. So, you know, especially if it's in the evening and nighttime when you're not going to use it at all. So the main thing to worry about if you're leaving your car at an airport or what have you, don't leave anything in here that's going to be damaged if it overheats. For one. Park in a shaded area if you could. That would help. Turn off Sentry Mode. And tell whatever software you're using, like if you use TeslaFSD like I do, I can go in there and tell it to sleep until I turn off the sleep. So TeslaFSD will not pull my car every 30 seconds. Right now, it will sleep automatically at nighttime. So late at night, it will start not pulling the car as frequently. That helps increase your battery when it's sitting. So doing that, putting your car to sleep, letting the car sleep and not wake up for that period of time will help maintain what range you have on your battery. So people who say that, you know, I got to the airport, I had 90% battery, I was gone for a week, I came back, and I only had 20% battery. Well, once it gets down to 20, the car automatically shuts everything down and sleeps. So it really shouldn't go under 20. But that's because they're constantly pulling the car, constantly getting data from the car. It's not from the cabin overheat because that's only for the first 12 hours. Now, I don't know if you can go and turn on camping mode remotely and then turn it off if it's 12 hours after that, maybe. You might be able to keep the cabin overheat going on. I haven't tried that, but I am driving 10 to 12 hours every day. So I've never had these times when I'm not driving the car. Yeah, the phone that blew up on me was a Samsung Galaxy. So it wasn't a cheap phone. But it wasn't a primary phone either. It was just one of my backup phones. I still have the phone. I have a replacement battery, a replacement screen because it broke the screen as well. I just never got around to tearing it completely apart to do that. One day when I'm bored, I'll work on it. I'm old. It's hard to see those tiny little screws now. But so far, the rest of this trip seems to be very smooth. So I do have a little bit of that navigation issue there. I may just upload this as a whole video because I have my time-lapse videos to work on too. Stuff. So it's kind of hard for me to spend time editing and trimming down videos like this. But I try to give a little bit of, you know, knowledge of the Teslas to people that they may not know. bugging me for quite a while. Like I've been saying, I came out to this part of Texas back in October of 2020 to see what SpaceX is doing. Been staying at the Holiday Inn Beach Resort on South Padre Island for the past 4 years. In the off season, they give you some good monthly rates for the winter Texans. And I was changing lanes full route. So it's going from that lane to this lane to follow the route. The Holiday Inn Beach Resort, they have 3 pools, one that's heated. They're right on the beach there. It's giving some a little bit of braking there for that caution light twice. Every now and then for a couple of different caution lights, and I don't know why particular ones. SpaceX rooms or suites that you can see the launch pad out of the window and all that. There's a lot of different things to do on the island. They got a horseback riding at the island adventure park on the beaches and the dunes. A lot of people seem to love to rent the golf carts. Too many golf cart rental places. Or the slingshots. A lot of different restaurants. Do some parasailing, dolphin tours. Check out the sea turtle rescue place. Okay, we're coming up to a traffic signal light here. So the speed should be decreasing here. It's still, I was thinking 75. I'm going to start scrolling it down. Because I'm not familiar with this area myself, so. I don't know, those were normal flashing lights for a traffic light up ahead. I've seen some street lights, which is kind of odd. And there's not much around here. And now they're gone. But I haven't seen any traffic lights. That's weird. Hello?
Hi, Mr. Keith.
Yes.
I'm calling from the Holiday Inn Express here in Missions, and I was just wondering, I did get your reservation in, and I see that it took points. I got it, but it doesn't give me a room-specific type, and I was just wondering if I can go ahead and get that from you, that way I can lock in your room.
Okay.
So, what kind of room are you needing today?
What ones do you have available?
Well, right now I have the king suite, and I have a twin suite, so whichever you prefer, I'll go ahead and lock that one out for you.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and take a king suite.
Okay, so is there a preference in floor?
No.
Alright, then I'll go ahead and have that ready for you.
Okay. I should be there in about an hour, so thank you.
Okay, sounds good. I'll be here. You have a safe trip in.
You too. Thank you. Bye. One plus thing about staying at the Holiday Inn Beach Resort on South Padre Island for 4 years, I rack up a lot of points. So whenever I do travel and need a hotel room, I get a free room. Well, pretty much free is using points, but it makes it kind of nice. I'll tell you right now, it's not hard living. I mean, it's not easy living in a hotel by yourself for 4 years. It gets to you. You know, I wake up in the morning, I look around, I'm like, you know, I'm trying to figure out where all my stuff is. You know, my house back in Louisiana, all my stuff is there. I kind of feel like I've lost my home and everything sometimes. And it's been quite a while since I've been home. I need to see about making a trip back to my house just to get back there. Last time I went back, you know, I was telling myself I was going to spend a few days there and go through some stuff and straighten it. And honestly, I was there for 4 hours and I left. Should I sell my house or property? The only problem is it's all paid for. So if something was to happen, I do have a home and property to go back to. So why should I sell? Settle down, I'll sleep, I'll wake up in the morning, I'll just have a coffee in bed. I would like to do a lot more, really. I would love to drive down to Cape Canaveral, Florida, and take some pictures of some of the Falcon 9 launches or other launches. But times have been kind of rough. So I've just been doing Uber and Lyft in this area down here. It's been slow. It's hard to get motivated. The economy is not good right now. I have noticed that over the years doing the Uber and Lyft. Not only has Uber and Lyft been taking more from the drivers for the rides, but the customers are tipping less. And, you know, that shows me that people just don't have as much money to spend. Even on the island, this past spring break was not as crazy or busy as it was last year. And last year was not as crazy and busy as the year before. And I've talked to other people, and it seems like every spring break is getting slower and slower on the island. And I'm feeling it's more and more the economy that is affecting people more. We're in troubled times with everything that's going on globally. It's taking a toll on everybody. Now it's getting pretty dark out here. I think the camera on the iPhone is doing a good job of still picking up a lot of stuff. But as you know, if you've paid attention, I haven't done anything except for that one area quite a while back where the navigation was really wonky, and I just touched the accelerator there. Otherwise, I have not done any steering at all. I haven't hit the brake or the accelerator at all. The car has been doing everything itself. Still prompts me for my hand in the steering wheel for resistance, but it does give me a little bit more breathing room depending on traffic conditions and stuff. The camera still monitors me, make sure I'm paying attention to the road, so if I look away too long, it will yell at me to pay attention to the road. Don't keep testing that, because it will only do that so many times, and then another time comes up, it's not going to give you any warning at all. It's going to be an immediate strike. So don't test it too frequently. If you get 5 strikes, you get put into FSD jail, which means you lose FSD for 1 week and 1 day. Once you have lost, you got your 5 strikes. That may also do that the same thing for the steering wheel nags. And if it starts beeping for those steering wheel nags, it'll show on the screen, but if you don't catch it on the screen, it'll start beeping. So it has to beep so many times, eventually it's not going to even show on the screen, it's going straight to a strike. So be careful with that. Make sure you catch it, make sure you pay attention to it. Just gently rest your hand on the wheel should be enough. I'm kind of blinded by this car behind me. The high beams right in my rearview mirror. The Tesla's mirrors are dimmable. I mean, there is a connection that changes. So they kind of dim at nighttime for headlights behind you and stuff. On Tahoe, we had a little lever we had to switch for that. And just kind of tilted the mirror a little bit for that. Railroad exit 140, which is correct, but I guess this interstate technically curves, so yeah, it's not like I have to get onto a different interstate. It kind of merges with the one coming up from Arlington, which we will see right up here. It kind of switches interstate 5, or no, 2, sorry. So this is considered I-69. A lot of construction up in McAllen. It's been really fun. better up here in McAllen. McAllen, Texas. There's an airport up here too. Might have cheaper flights if you're coming down here for a launch, but it is an hour and a half from the island. It does seem to be a bigger growing city, yeah. It's expanding with Edinburgh and what have you. There's more and more housing here, a lot more shopping. The nightlife seems to be more popular here, as opposed to, Brownsville. Brownsville is like an older town, right on the border. The border of Mexico actually dips down into Brownsville. Where here in Harlingen, you got to go about 15 miles to get to the border. Tell the car again to get out of this lane. It's still wanting to hug into the far left-hand lane. There's no vehicles around over here. It's not passing anybody. Get out of that lane. I have said this before. I do not understand why, with the full self-driving, that when it gets to a supercharger, it doesn't go ahead and automatically back into an open supercharger spot. It's not like Tesla doesn't have any data where those superchargers are. Every car that goes there to charge, they have data for that parking lot. It should do that at least. You already know I'm preconditioning the battery. You already know I am told it to go to the supercharger. So you know what my intentions are. I didn't tell it to go to the hotel. I told it to go to the supercharger in that parking lot of the hotel. So it should go ahead and pull into the supercharger spot. It's no big deal that it doesn't, but yeah, that'd be nice. And I'm sure that's coming eventually. What I've noticed with the car parking itself at its destination, I've had that quite a few times. Quite a different set areas. It's doing more and more frequently. Some areas it doesn't, but some areas I'm finding that it does. All these places where it does the parking by itself at the end of full self-driving, with not having to select a parking spot, with not having to disengage full self-driving, it pulls in. It doesn't back in. Even if it's parallel, like at the Harlingen Airport, it pulls in to that parallel parking on the curve at the customer drop-off for the airport. At the McDonald's, it pulls into the parking space. At the shopping center earlier today, it pulled into the parking space. Sometimes it was a little crooked pulling in. Not extremely good. It didn't bother adjusting itself. It just pulled in. I'm finding more and more spots that it does that. But it's not every place. What is the big difference? I don't know. the McDonald's, they have updated their striping in the parking lot, so it could be clear parking spaces mapping, but it seems to pick only a certain parking spaces, and if those parking spaces are full, it won't do it. So it's like something in the navigation data maybe is saying these 2 spaces you can park in, but not the others. And it's on the left side here. I need to tell it to get over, and it just missed that ramp. I wasn't, completely paying attention. It missed the ramp on the navigation itself. So this is going to have to try to figure out what to do. This is going to have to turn around. Okay, it's remapping. And, I don't have minimal lane changes on. So it should have changed lanes. But it didn't. So it is what it is. Good and the bad. It is full self-driving supervised. That time it did not catch it. But it is rerouting it. It is not jamming on the brakes, trying to make that turn that it can't make anymore. Starting 424 ramp closed. So ramps still be open. So the car is handling its own rerouting to fix its mistake. It is doing 75 and a 65 for all this construction. Please slow down. It gives me a little bit of anxiety here, but and if you have anxiety, or if you like some good humor, Mel Brooks, High Anxiety, great movie. Blast from the past. Check it out. So it should be taking this properly here. Okay, so it is taking this exit here. It's getting in the left hand lane this time. So yeah, here it is. Good example. The car did not, I don't know what the car was doing, but it missed getting onto the proper lane to take that ramp to go where it needs to. But it is successfully rerouting itself with 0 interventions for me. I'm not telling it to reroute. It went ahead and figured out, oops, I made a mistake. Let's correct this mistake. And it's doing it safely. That's the main thing. It's doing it safely. It's not jamming on its brakes and trying to cause problems. Or like I've seen in Houston, people come to a complete stop and back up because they missed their route. It's doing what you should do. Continue going at your speed and adjust your route to fix the problem. And it's way too far over here. Get up there. Did not like that. That was one of those rubber rings from one of the barrels that it ran over. Lines here for the construction are like all over the place. And that's because they grind off the old lines and they're putting in new temporary lines while they're doing construction. And this concrete wall light, this causes me anxiety. So I'm trying to breathe right now. It's also been a long day for me. I've been driving since 7 this morning. I still haven't intervened. I still haven't taken over. I still haven't disengaged full self-driving since we left. The only thing I've done on this trip so far is that one time when I hit the accelerator, when I thought it was in a 25 zone, with the school bus behind me. But so far that's been it. It is handling this very well. And in this situation right now, it makes it very hard for me to see up these oncoming cars. This is why I'm thankful for full self-driving. Because for me, a lot of this gets a little blurry, harder to see. This is one thing that Tesla should work on, is getting the medical approval for full self-driving. I can see this being something that Medicaid or Medicare or insurance will help a customer afford that has handicaps, you know, might have some impaired vision. You know, someone who might be suffering from Alzheimer's or what have you. It'd be nice to have them have a car that can drive for them. Once it's fully approved and can drive by itself like a robotaxi service. Somebody like my ex-wife who is completely deaf and blind, it'll be nice if she can have a vehicle like this to get around and go to stores and stuff, where she doesn't have to depend on getting somebody else to get around things. She likes to be independent. She doesn't like to rely on others. This would be ideal for her once it's fully approved. Yeah, you could say robotaxis, but she lives out in the country area, not a big city area. I don't think robotaxis will be there anytime soon. So I don't think we're waiting for a robotaxi feature like that for her. And for her being completely deaf and blind, it'd be safer for her to have her own vehicle. That way she knows there's nobody else in it. Because, I mean, she's 100% deaf and blind. She's had both eyes enucleated, so she can't see anything at all. The only way that she can really communicate with people is through physical touch. You have to, if you don't know sign language, you have to spell things out in the palm of her hand to be able to communicate with her. It's not an easy life. Otherwise, she'll use what's called a Braille communicator, where she can type in Braille, read in Braille, and hand you a device that you can read the text and respond to it. And sort of like a Google Translate, but in Braille back and forth for her to read. So even though the Tesla took the wrong lane, it didn't get over for that, full self-driving didn't get over for that proper lane for the exit. It comfortably and safely rerouted itself. And I'm sorry, these purple-blue lights for the interstate lights, I've never seen these anywhere before. It's kind of a weird color. I don't know how I feel about those. I don't know, have y'all seen those before? But anyway, it handled rerouting everything itself and getting us to where we need to go to the supercharger. It's now coming over here. It's worked all the way across multiple lanes to get to this turn. Now, why the car wasn't paying attention of what lane was in to come here properly the first time, I don't know. If it was in the far left lane, would it have moved all the way over? Did it assume that since I told it to move over, that it was in the proper lane? I don't know. I don't know what the car thinks. It's hard to say. We probably could have handled that little construction area back there a little bit better. He didn't hit any of the orange barrels. What we ran over was one of those rubber bottom parts to an orange barrel that wasn't on an orange barrel, so something left behind kind of in the road or on the side of the road. And here we are coming up to the superchargers. We have 5 available. If you click on here, you can see all the superchargers. It'll tell you if there's any that are out of order and which one it is. This is also a 150 kilowatt supercharger, so it's a slower one. The 150 kilowatts, they share. So if you go to 2A and 2B are sharing. So if you're right next to somebody in 2A and you're on 2B, you're going to drop them both down to 75. So it's good to try to find a break. Right here it looks like, well, I'm going to have to share with somebody. So I'm going to make somebody slower. That Model X, or I think it's a Model X, just pulled in. So I'm not going to slow him down since he's just now starting. So I'm going to go between this car here, this other car next to me. I don't see anybody in it, so he's probably been here for a while. And yes, I did disengage full self-driving and handling the backing in myself. It's usually faster. I'm going to end the recording here, but otherwise it's been fairly uneventful. Couple of interesting cases in this video. So I'll definitely add this to my upload list. See y'all later.